Repeat the question.
How do I do for the sake of Allah? So if I wanted to play basketball, how would I do that for the sake of Allah? If I wanted to work, how do I go about working for the sake of Allah?
Okay. No. It's a good question. How do you do anything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It is some people they don't know. How do I do something for the sake of Allah? So they end up not doing it for the sake of Allah. Some people, they think that everything they do is for the sake of Allah, but they don't question. What is it that I'm doing? Is it really for the sake of Allah or not? Because to decide something, that is the first step. You decide you want to live. Maybe other people telling you life is not worth living, but you decide, no, I want to live. You decide, I want to get married. You decide to have children. Decide to get a job. Decision is the first step. You have to ask, why am I doing this for? Then you have to check the answer, does it fit the question or not? You have to check yourself after a certain time to see, okay, my intention was to work, and this is my the result. Does it fit into my original intentions or not? Man is a creature that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given thinking, intelligence, and he must ask. The angels, they don't ask. The angels, they hear and they obey. They don't ask. They complete obedience. When the angels, they do ask, Allah inspire in their hearts to ask. And it is not really for them, it is for us. So to ask yourself, to consider, to analyze what it is, it is important, because otherwise, if a man is doing something, even if it is a good thing that he's doing, without asking, without checking himself, he might have veered towards the wrong direction without knowing it. So it's important to ask. Are you okay?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's all right. That's okay. So, how do you do something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We are Muslims. Alhamdulillah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, we have created the man and the jinns to know us and to worship us. So there is a reason for our creation. It is to know Allah and to worship Allah. This is the reason of our creation. The man who is thinking, who is intelligent, that Allah has given the aql, the intelligence to man, then he must look, whatever action that he's doing, is it bringing him to know his Lord and to worship his Lord or not? It's simple. To know his Lord and to worship his Lord or not. We are also the descendants of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, through his son Hazrat Ismail. Those ones who are coming from that lineage physically. But the Muslims, the Ummah to Muhammad alayhi wasalam, we are the results of the prayers of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, Halilullah, that he has prayed for us thousands of years ago. And Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, the way that he is knowing Allah and the way that he is serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to know him and to worship him and to serve him, it is showing and is becoming an example for us to follow thousands of years later. That other ones who claim to follow him, they have lost that tradition completely. They are taking one or they're taking the other. Because Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, now he is using his mind. Sit back there. Sit back there. Quickly, move. Sit over there. tell you 1,000 times, don't sit in front of me like a Buddha. Huh? So he is using his mind. He's saying, what is Allah? This is Allah. And he's saying, maybe the sun, it is Allah, but the sun rises and the sun sets. And he says, my Lord cannot set. Then later the stars comes out. He says, this is my Lord. This is not my Lord. It sets. This is the moon. This is not my Lord. It sets. So it is teaching us, through just questioning very simply, you understand who your Lord is. Once you understand who your Lord is, and you understand how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now is sending us, not only our intelligence in our heart, but He's sending us prophets, He's sending us awliya, the righteous people, to say, this is how an easier way to think about Allah. This is how an easier way to know Allah. This is how in an easier way, and also in the divine protocol, to know Allah and to worship Allah. Because if you are only going to know Allah without that divine protocol, you're going to know Allah in the wrong way. Then you think that Allah is an old man in the sky. So many religions, they believe that, no? They're trying to know Allah too, and that is their conclusion. Or they say Allah is this and Allah is that. But they have deviated. So, and some is going to say, well, Allah is not existing. We're saying you create yourself. There's no, everything happened just like that. You believe in energy, right? Yes. Then how the energy came into being? There must be another energy behind that energy. They're stuck, they cannot answer. So he is asking now, how do you know that you're doing anything for the sake of Allah? How do you know that you're doing something for the sake of your Creator? That you're doing something that makes your Creator to be happy? Your parents are going to tell you one thing. Your race is going to tell you another. Your culture, your tradition is going to tell you another. Your life experience is going to tell you another thing. Your friends are going to tell you others. What are you going to watch in the movies and in the books that you're going to read? Everything is telling you, pulling you, every other direction. I'm saying, Alhamdulillah, we're Muslims, and our faith is resting on Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. You're going to know how you're going to serve Allah through His Holy Prophet ﷺ. This is what it means by holding on to His Sunnah. Otherwise, like today's people, they're going to make up new sunnahs. They're going to say this is also serving. Now, my brother is saying, well, how do I know I'm doing anything for the sake of Allah? How do I know I'm playing basketball for the sake of Allah, for instance? We may say, there are certain actions that you do, many actions that you do. The Prophet ﷺ has spent 23 years of his life, and Islam has continued on for over 1,000 years to show these are the actions that brings you closer to Allah. These are the actions that will please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then there are some actions that it's not too beneficial for you. It may please your parents, it may please your ego, it may please this dunya, but it is not too beneficial. If your aim is to please Allah, that action is not too beneficial to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm not going to say it's right or it's wrong, and man must use his own intelligence. Now if you say, I want to play, for example, basketball for the sake of Allah, you're saying you're making something up. Then another one will say, I want to play soccer for the sake of Allah. You're making something up too. There may be some good in that, but there's a lot of other bad things that is also there. What it means to hold on to the sunnah of Rasulullah ﷺ. Now you're talking about sports. There are certain sports now that within Islam, that over 1,000 years, 1,400 years, that there are so many sports now within the tradition of Islam and the Sunnah of Rasulullah ﷺ that you can get into. But it's not basketball, sorry to say. I don't think any awliya, any salihin, or any sahabi, or any prophet is saying this is good. You want to play, play. We cannot stop you. But, you know, not just the sport, but the whole culture of the sport and everything is not too good. But you want to play. You say it makes me to feel good, makes me play. But in that playing, does it make you to come closer to Allah or not? If you're saying, I want the basketball to make me to come closer to Allah, and I say, don't fool yourself. There are so many other things that you can do to come closer to Allah, to do something for the sake of Allah. So holding on to the Sunnah of the Rasulullah ﷺ, holding on to the traditions now. Traditions of the Prophet, traditions of the companions, tradition of the Tabi'ins, for over 1400 years. That Islam is not something that is also, the tradition is stuck, for example, in 1,000 years ago it's stuck. No. Islamic civilization means that the culture and the practices, everything is expanding, expanding, expanding. It's taking from different cultures to bring together, to make it more rich, your life to become more rich. To be Muslim doesn't mean you have to be an Arab living in the desert. Things are always coming in to make it richer. But there are certain things that you do that is immediately you're going to know, if I'm doing this for the sake of Allah, I'm going to feel it. Because Prophet has done this before. Companions have done this before. What, for example? Working for the sake of Allah. Now, how do you know that you're working for the sake of Allah? What is your intention to work? Your intention to work now is to raise your family. To raise your family, to provide for them. This is responsibility. Again, the question that you have to ask is, I need to raise them to provide for them, to raise my family, but how am I going to raise my family? I'm going to raise my family according to what the television and the internet is telling me how to raise them. It is disaster. You're still raising them, you're still going to work, you're still feeding them, you're raising them, but you're taking the direction of how your family should be from this society, from this influence of the Akhir Zaman. They say you can be anything you want at any time. There is no laws of Allah and there's no love of Allah. There's only the law of your ego, which is limitless, and the love of your ego, which is limitless. So now you raise a family. How you know you're going to raise your family for the sake of Allah? Are you raising your family? Are you having a wife and kids? Now, the purpose is for them to know Allah, be able to worship Allah, to come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to serve people around them, to have the characteristics of the Prophet ﷺ. If you're doing that, if that is your intention now, I want to raise your family according to the principles of the Prophet ﷺ, principles of Islam, then it's clear. It is clear. Then you're going to check also, well, I'm saying this, I'm raising according to the principles of the Prophet, but these things are coming in, it is not according to that. Then you're going to protect that, because faith in this world, it has to be protected. Faith has to be protected. Faith is not something that you have and then you just let go like that. You never see any person carrying around his neck $1 million, walking around in the streets anytime that they want. Or having a very expensive jewel hanging around their neck and walking around in the neighborhoods. When they carry that, number one, in America, they're very smart, they have to be insured. Everything has to be insured. And they have to wear it and use it in an area where it is safe. Your faith is more precious than that. Don't take it for granted. So you're saying, I'm doing this for the sake of my Lord. Doing what? to have a family, then are you raising your children? Are you having a family according to the laws and the love of Allah? Yes or no? No, not really. Then you cannot really say that you're doing it for the sake of Allah. You're raising a family, that's right, but you cannot really say that. There are millions who are doing that. You're working for the sake of Allah now. Okay, you work, you're providing. Are you also paying your zakat? Because there is a part of that, what we earn, it doesn't belong to us. It doesn't belong to us. And if you take it, you are going to be punished very heavily, because it belongs to the orphans. It belongs to those who are in a very tight situation. It doesn't belong to you. If you're holding on tightly to your Prophet, holding on tightly to your guides, then everything that you're doing now, you're going to see whether this is something that is leaning against the teachings of my Prophet or the guide or not. There is a way to sit. There is a way to sit that Allah loves, and there is a way to sit that Allah doesn't love. Now, you want to sit. Who do you want to sit? For whose sake? For the sake of Allah? Then Allah is saying, follow that Prophet. I love him the best, and he wants the best for you, and he loves you the best. Follow him. If you sit the way he sits, you are going to get some of that good, nice, beloved characteristics that I will love you as well. So it's a very simple example, sitting, but it involves everything in your life now. That's why Islam, it is a lifestyle. So once you start thinking that you want to do something for the sake of Allah, you have to take that Prophet ﷺ as a guide. Understand? And once you take that one as a guide, you are also going to sit and you're going to check yourself in holy days and nights. You're going to say, okay, I'm wearing this turban for the sake of Allah, for him to be pleased. Not to please anyone else, but to please him. I'm wearing this. Am I treating it properly? Am I having real respect for it? Because it's a sunnat. Just as something that you like, that you have, from time to time, you're going to take it out, to dust it, to clean it, to look at it, and then to put it back again. So tariqat, it is that. To take your faith, to look at it, to dust it, to clean it, and to put it back. You check yourself all the time. You have to think. You cannot just say, okay, it is there. And you have to keep it protected. Understand? So now, in a little while, they're going to have wrestling. Tying the turban. There is a way of tying the turban that Allah loves too. There is a way that you tie the turban that Allah doesn't love that, although it is still a turban. You understand? Wrestling now. Okay, we have wrestling. It is very praised by the Prophet ﷺ. He was a wrestler. Major Sahabe Kiram, they were all wrestling. So there's a lot of blessings that comes with wrestling now. But you're saying I need to, say, train the children to wrestle. Because Allah loves that, Prophet loves that, and I want them to love it too. But now you say, I want them to learn wrestling, but I want them to learn wrestling, WWF wrestling. Doesn't make sense, does it? Now you know by yourself, you don't have to read books to know this is not sunnah now. There is a traditional way. There's a best way, but not this. You can fool yourself, say, it's also wrestling. You know, it is wrestling, like today's people. They want to praise the Prophet ﷺ. Good. They want to sing salawats. It's good. But their heart is actually loving all these music. That majority of the music, it is dirty. And it is for dirty people to engage in dirty things. But it's very catchy music. They are attracted to that. So they say, hey, Why not we take this catchy songs and we just put salawats in it to make everyone to be singing praises to the Prophet ﷺ. Over 1,000 years of Islam, in every language, there is qasidas and ilahis and nasheeds. Did you finish all of them? That now you have to take one rap song or one dirty song about, man and woman doing things and you just put salawats in it? Why are you doing that? It's not necessary. But we want to pull people in. You don't pull people in with dirtiness. People who want to run to Islam, they want to run to something that is clean. They don't want to run into something that is dirty. So that those ones, they will come and they will accept Islam. People who want to accept Islam, they're already sick of their lives and their dunya. And they say that's dirty, it doesn't work. We want to try something different. And here you are trying to make a bridge, but that bridge is broken. You don't take a container that is poisonous and dirty and fill it up with good things. So I know the intention is good. Now they want to sing, all those songs. But those songs, what are they for? They are dirty. There are other better ways of doing it to bring people in. Why should you be attracted to them anyway? All those tunes and everything. Why should be? Because it's catchy. And this is the time when sometimes we look what the Wahhabis they're doing and they're saying also. We say, yeah, you know what? Sometimes it makes sense also that they get overboard, they get extreme. They say music is haram, right? You say, you know what? For these people who take all these dirty pop songs and they make them to become religious, they say that's not too good too. I understand why they're saying it. Inshallah, hold on to your Prophet, hold on to your guides that leads you to the Prophet. Then you're going to know step by step, whatever you're doing, it is for the sake of Allah, to please Him. Because there is a way. Like I said, if you sit, you want to please Allah, there is a way to sit to please Allah, for His sake. There is a way to please your ego. For example, you're sitting down and you're just stretching your foot like that, like so many Wahhabis that they are doing, even if the Kaaba is in front of them. That doesn't please Allah and His Prophet, but you're still sitting. But you want to do something for His sake, then there is a way. You sit either like this, putting your legs crossed like that, or you sit like in namaz prayer, that is the best, on your knees. Once in a while you want to stretch your legs a little bit, you know that is not too good. You're stretching it a little bit here and there, but you're not saying, no, this is okay. I can do this here, I can do this in my home, I can do this in the masjid, I can do that in the Haram al-Sharif also. Stretching my legs and doing like that. So that's a simple example. Like I said, Islam is over 1,000 years. There's every aspect of your life now, especially the Ottomans, that they were concentrating on every aspect of your life and having a direct connection, whether it's pleasing Allah and His Prophet or not, for His sake or not. Especially the Ottomans, and they were living in a time when there was a lot of technology that was happening, new things that was happening, and they have to now look in the Quran, look in the Sunnah, look in everything for the Shaykhul Islam now to see whether this is something that is going to please Allah or not. They make fatwas about telephones, they make fatwas about telegraph lines, they make fatwas about tunnels underground that's transporting people, because now everything has to be connected to Allah and His Prophet. Now we're living in a time where it seems as if there is no connection. Okay, this is nothing to do with religion, this is religious. Then we're following the Jews and the Christians. Because Prophet ﷺ brought us a complete lifestyle. And there are things that is against the Sunnah and against the Shariat, and there are things that are not. Then you're going to understand so many things in this modern life, it is not pleasing to Him. You try to pull yourself back. You try to do something. Use the technology. Use it little. Understand the harms in it. Stay away from it. The good that you can do, take it. But don't run with it. So you talk about basketball now. You play that for fun and other things. And you say, okay, I want to do something for the sake of Allah. Then You have children, you have kids, inshallah you will have. Yeah. Then you say, that is a sport that I do. Then let me try to do other sports that Allah and His Prophet has said. This is also pleasing to Him directly. Like what? Swimming, horseback riding, archery. And connected to archery is that too. Understand? So that, oh, Prophet did this, he likes this. There's a lot of benefits to that. Basketball is only going to destroy your knees after a while. That's it. Understand? And it's a culture. You take it up to not even the big league, but higher a little bit, and it's just promoting a lifestyle that Allah and His Prophet is not liking. You know that. Hey, it's fun. You can play it. It's fun. It's good. But we say this one is not too pleasing. We leave it there. Okay. We don't try to say no. This is okay. I'm going to make this to be something really great. And we don't say also like, oh, completely now it is haram or this or that. You understand? We say it is not too great. There are other things that you can do. Then that time you can have a balance of things. Inshallah. Wa inna Allahu tawfiq al-Fatiha. Assalamu alaikum.